Hello, folks on YouTube. This is going to be another one of our sort of side story or additional lore videos. So, this isn't going to be on Twitch, this is exclusive to YouTube. And we're going to be seeing what Elric's been up to in these last few sessions. So, without further ado, Elric and Kara have just recently made their way through the old King Joseph's castle and down to its lowest levels. Upon the old throne, within the room that the main party and Elric had fought the old king in, the old King Joseph now lays still and cold. His form of the legend is now completely receded back into the shape of a human, and he lays there a husk, nearly turning to dust. Elric stands over him and supposedly quietly prays for him. But after a minute, he steps away from him and walks quietly towards the exit of the castle and down the hall. As he exits and into the light, Kara is standing next to him.
All right, I've finished everything I needed to do here. Oh, nothing quite like a day's walk.
Man was very dead.
Yeah. A man. After all these years, he can finally rest. Now then. How are you feeling, Kara? Has this walk been too tiring on you?
I was about to ask you, why are we walking?
What do you mean? Like, did you think I was going to run all the way here? I'm not really in a rush.
You do know I can just teleport anywhere, right?
You could just do that this whole time?
I thought that has been established before.
Well, at least now I know. So we don't have to walk back all the way, you can just teleport us there. But then again, that's something I could have done, but only to my cabin. Anyway, let's just go. Let's take care of the hard part now, which is going to meet the city of Voyron that hates my guts. I killed their king, but I also took away the thing that was oppressing them. Now then, do you,
Yeah, and you said they had cheese.
Yes, they have cheese, Kara. I know you're excited to try it. Now, since you're apparently capable of teleporting us, do you mind sending us near to the entrance of the gates? But a little ways out of sight of the guards, please.
Sure, since you ask politely.
Thank you, Kara.
He reaches out his hand, not really knowing how to.
And snap.
Kara snaps and, without actually touching his hand, teleports them nearby the entrance of Voyron City, although a little ways out of sight of the guards.
Alright. Easy enough. We just have to walk in, and then we'll be all set. Now, just to think of what to say to the Queen.
This
Yeah.
place is a dump. Are you sure they have cheese?
Yes, I'm sure. Even though this place seems like a dump, they do actually have somewhat of a thriving trade economy, even if it's only out of necessity. Alright. Let's get going, Kara.
We're then taken to a scene just before Elric and Kara enter into the main chambers of the kingdom. It wasn't too hard to simply walk their way up here, and it seems like the guards, there's fewer of them than he remembers this city supposedly having. But he's able to enter into the main chambers discreetly. And after doing so, he leans into Kara and whispers to her.
Alright, Kara, time for me to dust off my old diplomacy skills. So, what do you make of the tiefling? That is what she is, right? In the distance, they can see the well-lit throne of...
Yeah, but I don't think she has cheese.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't just have that around inside the throne room. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I see a lot of blood on the floor in here. I can't imagine the replacement king has been all that welcomed. Well, anyway, no use standing around here gawking. Let's go introduce ourselves.
The two walk forward from the shadowy entrance and present themselves to the person seated upon the throne.
Excuse me. We would like to introduce ourselves.
No
My name
need.
is- Oh,
I know who you are, Elric.
well then. I suppose there's no need for me to introduce myself. Could I get your name by chance? Miss...
You can call me Queen Mania.
Mania. Is that a first or last name?
It's a name, isn't it?
Right. Well, I also prefer just using my first name. So, I suppose we have that in common.
And, who's your, feathered friend over here, huh? Wasn't
This
mentioned in the
one.
journals.
I do not see any cheese in this room.
Yes, Kara, there's, I don't think there's cheese in the throne room.
Well, if you're looking for cheese, I'm sure you could either find some in the market or in the kitchens.
Sure. We can take you there after this.
Yeah, I think yeah about that, yeah?
Yeah. Well then, discussion of cheese aside,
And then another Kara walks in with cheese.
never mind. Discussion of cheese continued. Kara flicks their feet over.
You can multiply. Now that is a power I've never seen before.
Yeah.
It's all for cheese. I really like cheese that has been established.
It sure has. You know, if you ever want a spot in my army, I'll reserve a little seat for you. She kind of, the tiefling winks at Kara. Mania.
I like this woman.
Yes. I like this woman too, Kara. Anyway. So, I came here on a diplomatic mission. I wanted to help repair the relationship between Voyron and Silanoris.
You want to repair the relationship between the city you shut off from most of the help, huh?
He scratches at his neck and
Looks to the side. Yeah. That city. This one.
Listen, Elric. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I couldn't give two shits about whatever relationship Voyron has with Silanoris. Frankly, it's all quite a bit boring if you ask me. Oh, we hate you because you didn't help. Oh, we don't even know you exist. It's quite contrite if you ask me.
Oh, then how are you sitting on the throne here?
Elric looks around the room to see some boy off in the corner of the room mopping up some of the blood inside the room.
She kind of chuckles and sits forward a bit, putting her hands kind of the same way guys sit on the subway, and she kind of stares at him with this almost creepy grin, like there's something seriously off about this woman. And she just says, there were no heirs, no wives, no cousins, no uncles. He was so focused on beating you. And I was the general. Things kind of just went my way. A few of them didn't like it, of course. Technically, I'm not even from Voyron. But, well, they made their piece known, and she kind of gestures to the blood all over the floor. It just goes, and I made my piece known.
Right. Well, you certainly painted a
Nice.
picture. Both symbolically and,
He looks over at the blood on the floor, and like the busboy like slips a bit on the blood.
he says, and, literally paint a picture. Well then, I still want to try and establish a good relationship between the city of Voyron and Silanoris. After all, with the goddess of war dead, there's going to be a large power vacuum forming. It's going to need to expand without her around, and I want to make sure that it doesn't spark a new war between us.
Right. War would be terrible. But she kind of, like, almost seems a little disingenuous. So it's true then, she really is dead.
Yes, I killed her myself, actually. Well, with a bit of help, but I was there.
Really now. You killed her.
It was very fun.
Oh, yes. I was there too.
She kind of looks over at the bird and is just like, a bit confused, but I mean, this bird just multiplied into two in front of her, so kind of just shrugs, brushes it off. Well, a witness is good proof, but you got any other proof?
He ate the arm.
Yes. Yes, Kara. I ate the goddess of war's arm, which was going to be somewhat of a secret. He looks down at Kara with, like, a bit of a glare. But now I suppose the cat's out of the bag.
Or like the bird's out of the bag.
So yes, I still have her arm in my stomach, so I can use it as proof to your people that the god is slain.
Alright. That's fair enough. And she kind of like just looks almost amused, and she stands up and she kind of stretches back and pops a few of the joints in her back. Well then, if you really want to prove it to my people, well, we're probably going to have to make a speech, because, yeah, there's about a couple thousand of them right now just standing outside yelling. I haven't really wanted to talk to him, but I assume now's probably a better time than any.
Yeah, I was a little curious about why there was so many people outside the castle. Well then.
Yeah, no one's exactly told them I'm queen yet.
Oh, wonderful. Well, one more thing on the list.
You look a little too stressed, friend. You should really get that checked out. And she just kind of pats him on the shoulder as she walks towards this balcony.
And then as she's walking over towards the balcony, Elric kind of like turns around and pukes up the arm. Just get ready to have it held in his hand. And, like, wipes it off a bit on his cloak.
Alright then.
You did not have to do it that way.
What do you mean, Kara? It was in my stomach.
I could have just grabbed it from your stomach.
Oh my god, you told me.
You
this
know
thing
I could
exactly.
steal anything, right?
Yes, I know.
Did you just vomit in my throne room?
He looks over his shoulder. No, don't worry, just a cough. It's nothing.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't want to have to clean up more shit.
Right.
And that's when she opens up the doors and just steps out onto the balcony in front of most of Voyron standing outside, demanding to be told what's going on.
You see before you a large crowd bustling with anger, and it seems like the appearance of you has quickly hailed them to start getting louder, as now they can see you there, and start tossing a few knickknacks up a little higher, see if they can try and hit you, but it's a little too far.
Oh, this is going to be fun. She kind of clasps her hands together and rubs them just a little bit as she steps towards the edge, and she puts her hands on the balcony. And she just raises a hand to try and get everyone's attention, trying to get them to shut up.
They all see your gesture, and for the most part the audience quiets down, perhaps just out of a desire to see if you fumble over your words, or it seems like it's not a silence out of respect, more of disdain.
She looks at one of the crowd members that hasn't shut up yet, and she just points at him, and she just says, in one of the loudest voice she could possibly make, "If you do not shut up right now, I'm gonna show you exactly how I became queen." And that's when she takes her formal stance, and she just smiles, that same creepy grin, and she just starts speaking. "People of Voyron, I stand before you today to bring forth a new era. King Revnad has fallen. With no heirs to his throne, I, Mania, former general of the Voyron Guard, have taken his role as ruler of this city." And she kind of turns and looks back into the throne room for a second before looking back over at the audience. "There are those that may find this troubling, but I assure you, I will return Voyron to prosperity. By now I'm sure the rumors have slipped through the cracks in the walls and into your ears. They are true. The goddess of war has fallen. Her threat to our people is no more, and no more shall we fear what lays outside the walls."
Elric then walks up towards the side of Mania and sort of like holds the goddess of war's hand by his side, looking to catch her eye and see if she needs him for anything.
Turns slightly to look at him and just kind of smirks and gestures her head towards the audience and backs up just a little bit, giving him a little space to show it off.
Then the member of the audience from before that was saying, that you kind of pointed at and was telling him to shut up, he seems to speak up and regain his courage and say, "Hey, what kind of proof do you have that this goddess is dead? Huh? How do we know you're not just trying to pull a fast one on us, make it seem like you're the one with all the glory, huh?" Then Elric steps forward and at the side of Mania. "So how do you want me to do this? Huh?"
He kind of turns and she leans in just a little bit. Not too close, but it's close enough to where it's just the two of them could hear. And she says, "You tell them who you really are. You're gonna get more weapons thrown at you than most wars I've ever seen. Lie."
Shit. Alright, nobody should have heard this name in a long time. Elric steps forward into the balcony where everyone can see him more clearly. The arm at his side that he's been dragging for a moment, he now hoists up into the air. Clearly, the arm of somebody who is not human. It is far larger in proportion, that of a person who's about 10 feet tall. He calls out, "Listen, Kingdom of Voyron. My name is Joseph Oleron. You do not know me. However, I am a great warrior, and an ally to your now queen. This arm, as you can see, is the arm of the goddess of war. It was severed during the battle with her. The rest of her remains tossed into the abyss, where they cannot be recovered again. This arm will be on display for all the citizens of Voyron to see at their leisure for the next few days. Each and every one of you can confirm at the sight of it that it is the genuine thing. The goddess who has haunted your existence is dead. And now, I hope that you can all seek new prosperity in the lands beyond your walls. That is all." The audience kind of murmurs about themselves, looking a bit more confused, but now kind of curious, like, oh, is that really the guy? I mean, I know how big that arm is. Maybe it's fake, but I guess I'll have to check it out. But then quickly the murmuring dies down as they look back towards the balcony, and Elric steps away from the balcony.
Minia retakes her place at the kind of head of that balcony, and she replaces her hands on the edge and just looks over the entire audience, feeling a bit more bolstered by the fact that they're starting to knock their anger off. Rest assured, I can hear your concerns. But Voyron is no longer under the hand of that mindless beast, and she reaches over and grabs Elric's wrist and raises it once again and shows off the arm.
Oh.
Finally, we can expand beyond our walls and gain the land that we rightfully deserve. People of Voyron, the age of fear is over. From now on, we rise from the ashes like a phoenix, and will show the four cities our true power.
The audience kind of looks around. They're like, this murmuring is seeming a little bit more optimistic. Like, oh, well, this does kind of open up options. Maybe, yeah. I mean, the audience, it seems like the energy of them has shifted. The people aren't quite as tense, or, the grip on their weaponry seems to loosen a bit. They have a more relaxed stance. Although it all seems like cautious optimism, it's optimism nonetheless. And then slowly, the audience kind of starts giving a light clap. Not raging applause, but, a clapping nonetheless.
Mania slowly lowers Elric's wrists and lets go of it, and she smirks. And she turns and looks at him and goes, "Perfect. That's exactly what I was wanting." She gives a wave to the audience before she turns around and walks back into the throne room, kind of tucking her hands behind her head in that carefree anime boy pose, and just grinning up a storm, clearly proud of herself. Can you believe that I pulled that entire speech out of my ass?
Really? I thought you'd been prepping that during all the time you spent sitting in the throne room.
No, not really. Diplomacy is not really my.
And you all noticed that car is not there anymore.
Oh, wait.
Wait a minute.
Where'd it go?
Yeah, you seem to have lost your bird friend here.
Elric looks back out towards the balcony. Oh no.
Is she out there?
Good question. She could probably be anywhere right now. And then...
Well, if she steals one of my axes, I'm going to be quite pissed off about it.
I really hope she doesn't do that. And then we're gonna jump to a new scene. Somewhere outside the walls of Voyron. A guard has been coming back from just a hunting trip he was on. He has a few, rabbits on his waistband. And he's just marching his way back into the city. But he's still got about a mile to go. When, for a moment, it seems like he sees a woman off in the distance who's just wandering around. Out of curiosity, he changes his course to start walking closer towards her, maybe being a local nomad that got separated from their group, or perhaps they were injured in some way, but it was strange to see somebody wandering alone in a place like this. Upon getting close enough, it seems like she has some sort of scales on her body, and she might be a lizard folk, perhaps a tiefling. When he's about 50 feet away, he hails to them, and noticing now that they're a bit taller than he expected, says, "Excuse me." He calls out in Elvish, Are you alright? But the figure doesn't respond.
The figure stares at them and sort of cocks their head.
Are you alright, ma'am? He wanders a bit closer.
Give me your meat.
What? The person seems to speak in Draconic, which the guard couldn't understand. Are you alright? Do you not speak Elvish?
She sort of like does a growl at him.
As she does that, she has this more animalistic nature about
Wait.
her, and he seems to start to think that he's not really dealing with a sentient person, but perhaps more of a wild animal. He backs away and, grabs at the hilt of his sword. Hey, take it easy. Let's, not do anything too hasty. He continues to back away.
The figure sort of slowly approaches him. Wait.
He kind of fiddles with his sword, but it seems to be getting caught in his waistband. Hey, back away. Don't come closer than that. Just keep your distance. And eventually he just gives it a hard tug, and one of the rabbits that was on his waistband falls off, and he keeps backing away as he draws his sword.
She snatches up the rabbit and instantly inhales it.
Upon seeing this tall dragon-like woman just eat a whole fucking raw rabbit, he is now very bewildered, but understands that perhaps she was just hungry. He grabs at another on his waistband as he continues to back away and kind of holds it up in the air and shakes it a bit. Are you hungry? Do you want food?
Wait.
Alright, they keep making the same noise. Maybe that means food. Just follow me. I think I know somebody who might want you. Maybe I'll get a good paycheck for this. I don't know. Well, just follow along. And he starts to keep pace at a good distance from you while holding up the rabbits that he has at his waistband.
Slowly follows the man.
Occasionally he tosses down a rabbit to keep you interested in following him, assuming that food is what you're after, and begins leading you towards the town of Voyron, the city of Voyron. And I think that is where we'll end it. And that has been the introduction to the Path of Destruction storyline for the world of Galamora. Can't wait
Better see you there.
Yeah. Can't wait for the side campaign to begin. All right.
Indeed.
See you around, everybody.
Adios.
We will see you next week.